Like, can you list me all the ways that you could make money off being a graphic designer, specifically in music?
I would say, yeah, obviously.
All right, so another episode of Behind the Scenes. Welcome back. I want to start off by saying that, I was recently thinking, right? And I think a creative's number one motive is to obviously express themselves, whether it's by, rapping or singing or, I don't know, making videos like myself. But at the end of the day, we all gotta eat and we gotta make money off of what we love doing. Specifically in the music and entertainment world, there's actually a ton of creative fields. So from now on, I'm gonna be doing some behind the scenes videos where I find out how to monetize each one. And so today's video is gonna be about being a graphic designer. For some reason, when I see a song on Spotify and it has a really cool cover art or really dope digital rollout on Instagram, it just like makes me want to revisit the song even more. I see so many amazing cover arts and I always think to myself, all right, well, okay, where are these coming from? Who's making them and how do they even get paid from it? So right now, I'm gonna call my friend Max, who's actually done some crazy cover arts for artists like Gunna, XXXTentacion, Comethazine, to name a few. He's the same age as me, he's 19, but he's been doing like all kinds of graphic design work for a very long time. So, hopefully I can get him to list us all the ways that you can make money off of it. But yeah, let me call him. That's cool. You've been doing it since you're 12, so you've had a lot of experience basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, in that case, okay, let's just get straight into it. Like, I want to know, like, can you list me all the ways that you could make money off being a graphic designer, specifically in music?
Okay, for sure. Yeah.
You start with cover
Cover.
arts.
Yeah, so cover art. I mean, like that's pretty obvious. You just develop different concepts to represent the song, like whatever the artist has in mind, or sometimes just you do, your own thing. Figure out like different themes, symbolism that you hear.
So how does that work? Like, do you in advance make just some sort of cover art and then you message an artist's manager like, yo, I already made this for you? Or is it like different? How does that work?
Okay, so generally people will reach out to me
Okay.
and present me with a song or say, hey, we want you to work on this project. And then I will talk through with either the management or the artist themselves, figure out a concept that they feel like properly represents the music.
Hmm.
And then I'll go to work, send it to them. We'll go back and forth with edits until it's completed.
Yeah,
I don't always like get to hear the track before I make the art. So sometimes I just have to do it based off of like general themes of the artists themselves.
true.
Um, but yeah, it's usually just like a pretty solid back and forth process between the designer and the act, I guess.
But that's if they're reaching out to you, right? What if, because I'm sure earlier in your like graphic design career, that's not that wasn't the case. You had to reach out to people, right? So how did that work?
Yeah. So I would say the only difference in the process when they aren't reaching out to you is that you're reaching out to them, right?
Mm.
So that would be like you DM somebody on Instagram, DM somebody on Twitter, be like, hey, I'm a graphic designer. This is my portfolio. This is my resume.
Okay, so and how did you figure out like pay with them? Do you in the beginning start off by saying like, "Hey, here are my rates," or do they kind of mention it?
Yeah, so it depends on the situation. I found like a lot of the times earlier in my career, I was more focused on getting the placement itself.
Mm.
So I would not try to set the tone of the relationship to be that I was looking for money. I was more focused on developing the relationship and the connection with the manager or the act,
Mm.
and then being able to get that placement to further develop my credibility,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Once you get a placement and different people see it, and they'll be like, oh, I recognize that artwork, like, oh, you're certified, whatever.
Mm.
Now I definitely work out payment, and I will usually just let people know before I start designing the artwork, like, we'll work out a rate that makes sense for both of us.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it definitely was a mixed bag, depending on who I was working with.
Yeah. How do you even find out what your rates are? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of testing the waters, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that it just kind of depends. You just have to like find that breaking point where people feel as though your like artwork is worth that amount of money, right? Like it's hard to quantify, but I think that like in the beginning I was charging like maybe like $50 for a cover.
Mm.
And I thought that was fair because it's like not a lot of money to make up. But now I usually go like 300 and up.
Mm.
just because I have like a developed resume.
Yeah.
And if I'm working with like a label, they usually have budget, or often independents if they're larger acts or they're like looking to get quality artwork, they're willing to pay that just because of the, like placements I have, skill I have.
Yeah. This is a bit of a random question, but do you find it easier to work with artists who have a label behind them, or artists who are, independent?
I the majority of the time that I'm working with labels, I'm working with individuals who are like execs at labels or management or A&Rs. I like to work with artists more because it seems like it's more genuine, and I'm
Yeah.
able to like develop a specific vision with them.
Mm.
But working with labels is also totally cool. Like I have a lot of good friends and connections at different labels, and they give me consistent work, and it's a like definitely good dynamic, I would say. But I think that it's more enjoyable to work with artists because you're really helping them create the vision that they want to represent their music before people even click on it, right?
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense to me. Okay, so that's cover arts, right? What was the
Yeah.
next thing you said? You mentioned doing promo
So
assets?
merch, like merchandise, developing different clothing pieces for people's tours, for like online releases. I would say once again that's something that you usually want to do with the artist, or
Yeah.
just like have their inputs, just so you can like figure out what they think looks cool on clothing, how they want to represent themselves, because this is what their fans
Hmm.
right? This is what they want their fans to wear, right? So it's like represents them a lot to people who may not know who they are.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what specific pieces of clothing they want to do, and then oftentimes they'll send me different inspiration of like different clothing brands they like, different past merch work they like, or if they have a specific concept in mind, we can just go straight from there.
Mm.
Other times, depending on the project, I'll just like do stuff myself and then send it to them and be like, "Do you like this?"
Yeah.
Just kind of depends on the act, I would say.
Do you feel like that's like a good use of your time where you just make things on your own and then you could just show people? Or are there ever moments where you're like you make so much stuff and then you end up sending it and they're like, yeah, no, we don't want this.
That definitely happens, and that's annoying, but it
Yeah.
depends on what point you're at in the relationship with the act. I would say I think being able to show that you're proactive and like willing to work is really beneficial a lot in the beginning, because it makes people take to you more,
Mm-hmm.
and like have a better, I guess, image of you in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely is annoying, especially if you aren't going to be getting like, paid for the work that you do that gets scrapped.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
definitely pain for sure, I would say.
Definitely. All right, so that was merch. The third thing you mentioned, I think it was promo assets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
promo
what? Yeah.
assets is pretty simplistic. It's just like developing Instagram ads, like Facebook banners, Twitter banners, Instagram posts, like as well as stories. Oftentimes animations, just to like you animating cover artwork, or just like developing a merch animation to show off the different clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, I would say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, with that, it's like how do you make a fixed price on that because there's so many different things, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say it depends on, like, usually it's not that hard, especially if you're doing it with like a project rollout, just
Mm.
because you're able to use the existing artwork for the cover art and just kind of like move stuff around.
Mm.
But for animations, once again, I would say it depends on the complexity of the animation, depends on the detail, and depends on like how much credibility, how deep your resume is.
Mm.
But I think that like most labels are willing to give you like a good like $200 to $300 for like promo animations.
Hmm.
For banners and stuff, it really depends on
Yeah.
the complexity that they want and how many edits.
Gotcha. So then, in that case, how many times are you trying to get these projects done? Because you said they're giving you around $200. Do you try to do this like 2 times a month, or how does that work?
Hmm. So personally, I generally work with a few other people who are more like adept at animation than I am, and
Yeah.
I'll bring them onto these projects so that they're able to get credits as well and develop their resumes,
Mm.
and I get to like put money in their pockets, but then I get to be able to have this complete rollout ready for the different acts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. It is easier when you're working with different people, but yeah, it is a thing where you have to kind of split the pie a bit more, right?
Mhm.
Um.
No, for sure, and I'm totally cool with that, right? Like,
Mm.
I would rather, like, as opposed to stressing myself out and like pushing myself to do something that I don't love. I would rather have somebody else who is really hungry for the opportunity but may not have like the network existing, be able to have a shot and get money in their pockets.
So those are three ways of monetizing. Was there a fourth? Did you mention, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, stage visuals, which is once again like animation and a lot of 3D stuff. I don't do that much. A friend of mine, Robert Gotham, he does a ton of them. So he's like a 3D guy who I work with a lot. He did like Bosky 2 with me and Bosky 3. Yeah, those are like huge bags. I would say like you can get like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Really?
But yeah, it's also like really, really intense work.
How so? Can you walk me through that? I know you don't do it personally, but you probably know all about it.
So usually when you're doing stage visuals, people want 3D work. So that means like developing a model, developing a render, rendering it out. And that like if you're doing multiple visuals, usually you want like 8 to 10, maybe 15, depends on the set length. You could be looking at like 40 plus hours of work.
Oh dang, that's a lot.
Yeah. So like that's why there's a lot bigger budget for it.
And you're talking about when artists are on stage and they have visuals behind them.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, yeah. That I mean, if I was a graphic designer, I would jump straight to that because it seems like the thing you're getting compensated for most, right? But like you said, you're putting in a lot of work for that.
It's hard. Like to be able to do it at a high level, you need to have a lot of prerequisite skills and experience.
Yeah.
And a beast of a computer.
And a what?
Like you need a killer computer.
Oh,
like you need like a $10,000 computer to be able to handle all like the rendering for the 3D software as well as After Effects. Like it's a lot.
Okay, well, dope, man. Thanks for the advice, and also I'm gonna let you know when this is out. I think this is gonna come out on Saturday. I'm just gonna like grind it out and edit this.
Okay.
But yeah, I really appreciate you, and yeah, thanks, dude.
Yeah, of course, bro. I was happy to do this.
All right, cool.
I look forward to seeing the video. All right, take it easy.
So, see you, man.
Alright, okay, so there you have it. Those are 4 ways to make money as a graphic designer in the music field. Now, a couple things I really want to point out. What he was saying about building up a portfolio at the early stages was 100% truth. And especially young people need to hear that over and over. Because honestly, for any job you do, you need to work your way up. Whether you do that by sweeping the floors or, I don't know, applying for an internship, half the time getting coffee for everyone, it really does help build your resume and make connections in order to actually level up. So for all you graphic designers, I highly recommend you just, work for free the first couple times and focus on building the relationships with a certain manager, a certain artist, or even someone at like a record label. Obviously, make sure the art that you made is really dope because, for example, let's say you did something for Gunna. Okay, this is just an example. If Gunna drops his album cover art on Instagram and, all of his fans comment, oh my god, this cover art is so sick, right? Like chances are his manager will probably read those and he's gonna remember you and be like, yo, damn, this guy actually did a really cool job and everyone's calling him out for that. He's probably gonna be like, damn, I think we need to work with this guy again. And then on top of that, he can like refer you to his other music industry friends. Okay, now I know the struggles of being an upcoming creative. A huge one is that you do have to pay for a lot of expensive equipment and software, but I just want to let you know that there are ways to go around that. This applies to a lot of high school students or even like university students. I would highly recommend that if you're a student, check out if your school will give you some sort of discount code, especially on softwares, like definitely the Adobe Suite. I'm pretty sure, my school does offer the Adobe Suite, like a really good discount on it. So I'm like pretty sure yours will as well. Because especially as a graphic designer, somebody doing art, I think Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator are 2 things that you will 100% need. I don't know if many people know about this, but another program that I would suggest if you have a Mac, it's called Sketch. I've been using Sketch for basically everything on KTO's Instagram, like all the discussion posts, all the rollouts of videos, like a lot of things. And no, this is not any type of promo, I wish it was, but I just really enjoy using Sketch for the main reason that it is so easy to use. Like, I'm not even a graphic designer, but it makes me feel like one. As for pricing, it is $90 per year. It might seem like a lot, but the thing is, like I said, if you're a student, you guys gotta look at these discounts. I just went on the page and right away it said student pricing. It's 50% off if you just put your student information, and it ended up being for me $45 per year, which is a steal in my opinion. Also, another thing Max was saying, he was talking about that like stage art design. Dude, I would like really recommend looking into that because I never even knew
about that and how much money you can make from it. I do know that Cinema 4D and Adobe After Effects are two programs you will need for that, so you know, you definitely got to get those. But look, regardless, you know, just know that being a graphic designer in music specifically, it takes a lot of hustle, networking skills, and also patience. When I was talking to Max, he was saying that he did it for about 7 years before he actually got good at it, and you know, before he actually learned the business side of things too. But hey, just want to let you know that you will run into moments in music where people will, you know, treat you kind of poorly, but don't take that as you're not talented at making art. I guess you just gotta get used to the fact that, you know, there's like managers and people who I guess are like a bit frustrated with their role in the music industry, or they want to work their way up, or you know, sometimes they're just having a bad day and there's not really much you can do about that, so I wouldn't like look down on yourself. Anyways, I hope that helped. I'm excited to make more videos like this. If you guys want to see me talk about another creative field and, you know, interview someone else in it, then definitely let me know in the comments. I'm going to read all of those. Otherwise, all the softwares that I'm talking about, I'll try to link them in the description below so you guys can click on that and, you know, buy it if you need to. Otherwise, Max, yeah, if you guys want to talk to Max or follow him on Instagram, I'm also putting that in the description, so feel free to DM him, I guess. But anyways, I'm Rashawn from Kids Take Over, and you guys are watching Behind the Scenes. Yo, thanks for watching that video. When I was editing it, I wasn't sure whether you guys wanted me to do it like more surface level and make the video shorter, or make it really long and in detail. So I kind of just went in between. Let me know in the comments what you guys prefer, or just hit me up on Instagram at KidsTakeOverIG. Right now it's time for the top comment. So on the last video, Mellow Way commented, "This is hype. I love the style and feel of the channel. It looks lit." Yo, I appreciate you, and I'm glad people are really messing with our art direction. But if you want to see that last video he's talking about, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. Otherwise, yeah, you got to subscribe to Kids Take Over and turn the notification bell on.